Welcome to 843 TV. I'm your host, Lisa Richardson.
And I'm Will Ware. I'm with WHHI-TV. We're here at Right at Home Care of the Lowcountry, which brings us to our first guest, President of Right at Home, Gregg Fulton.
Our next guest is Ashley Gruber. She's with Memory Matters. So stick around for more 843 TV.
Where communities come to speak.
.843 TV, where Bluffton comes to speak.
Where Spring Island comes to speak.
Where Hilton Head Island comes to speak.
Where Beaufort comes to speak.
.843 TV,
Where communities come to speak. Welcome to 843 TV. We're now joined by Ashley Gruber with Memory Matters and Gregg Fulton with Right at Home of the Lowcountry. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Excited to be here, thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we're here in your office, Gregg.
Yes.
So thanks for having us. And you know, we're talking about serving seniors, really, aren't we? Both of you kind of serve a similar demographic in our area, and a demographic that's growing. Isn't it?
Tremendously, and you know, we've been around for a little over 12 years now, and it's just changed drastically. And it's changing across the country, the aging population. I think Ashley can tell you that just the amount of seniors that we serve now has probably doubled from when we first started.
Doubled?
Yeah, doubled. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And I mean, specifically in Bluffton and Hilton Head, I mean, this is obviously a great place to live. People come for the climate and to be close to the water and to retire here, and that's one of the reasons.
It is, you're right, and as far out as, I mean, even Palmetto Bluff and you get into Port Royal and Beaufort,
right.
The whole area is just gorgeous, great places. And the services that we have that we're going to talk about, I know that, you know, the depth and capacity of the services offered for such a small community is huge.
Yes,
really
absolutely.
Yeah.
And getting more specialized.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you mentioned you've been around for 12 years now.
Yes,
is that right, Gregg?
we sure have.
What are the types of services that you offer?
Well, we're a home care agency, and what that is basically we go into the home and can provide anything from just safety, supervision, through transportation to a doctor's appointment, to transportation to Memory Matters, or wherever they need to go for the day, through actual hands-on care. And then we even get into some skilled nursing care. A lot of folks can use us just a minimum of a few hours a day, but we also have folks that need us around the clock, you know, and they have the resources. They've retired here, as you mentioned. Nothing wrong with assisted living and places like that. They're great, but they want to stay in their home.
Absolutely.
They want to stay in their home, and so that's where we come in to start to help that assistance.
Gregg, walk us through the process. If I'm a family and I have a loved one that I'm concerned about that might need some care, and I come to you, where does it start? What do you do?
Typically, folks will reach out to us either through a referral source through the medical community, or they'll find us, you know, on a website or somewhere and reach out. Typically, it's the children that have identified the need that mom and dad may need. They'll reach out to us. At that point, what we like to do is create what we call a plan of care. And what that would mean is we'll have a nurse go into the home, evaluate the situation, find out what the needs are, communicate that back to the family, and then we come up with that plan of care. Once that's established, we decide, you know, do they need 3 hours a day? Do they need 24 hours a day? What is the need? And once that need's is decided upon, then at that point we start the process of the aides that'll actually be in the home taking care of them, and then we start an interview process where the families get to meet those aides. And you know, it's all about personalities too. When you're, you know, if you bring a stranger into the home, it's a lot of dynamics to deal with. So, you know, agencies like us want to make sure that when we go in, everybody's very comfortable with the situation.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the nurses and the aides that you use?
Sure. Great question. We use registered nurses, licensed LPNs, if you will, and then CNA, certified nursing aides. Typically, if it's just a supervision type situation, you know, obviously there's not a nurse needed for that type situation, so it's more of an aide, it's more of a companion, if you will. And we try to, you know, work with ages and certain things that the aide likes and the family likes, because it has to be a match for the employee too for it to be a good situation. Then when you get more hands-on, where there needs to be skilled involved, then you're looking at more of an RN type situation in the home.
Sure, so it's very customized, obviously.
It's very customized. Great point, very much so.
And obviously, Greg, the more you know, the better you can serve. So can you tell us a little bit about the research you're doing to help better serve your market, and specifically the research you're doing with the Harvard Medical School?
Oh yeah, that's a very exciting. Right at Home is a national franchise organization.
Okay.
There's about 400 locations. I actually own the one here and the one in Savannah. And like I said, we've been around 12 years now. The Harvard study is a national study, not just us, but we are one of the 100 or so that's in a 3-year study. It's all about change in condition. And what that means is basically stopping from hospitalizations, things that may happen as far as nobody observing the situation. So what we have in the system is when an aide goes into the home, they'll actually, we have a telephony system, so they clock in, and then when they're leaving, they clock out, and that basically, they ask certain questions about the condition that day, and there's certain things that are target points that are identified. Well, if the aide happens to notice something, maybe a wound, maybe something that's changed from yesterday or last week, they'll notify that in the system. Once that's done, our nurse will be notified here, and then at that point, we can get involved. The nurse can go out, actually observe if they need to go to a physician, or just identify and let the family know. So it's all about monitoring that change in condition. Obviously, Harvard has also larger picture involved, meaning policies and things like that they're looking at too. And to give you an example of home health, which is a physician order, basically that's where a physician orders someone to go in, and Medicare is typically going to pay for it if they're 65 or over, and that's where they'll go in and maybe have physical therapy, occupational therapy, something that's just going to be task driven. They're going to go in, they're going to leave. Well, obviously there's a lot that goes around that. Activities of daily living, how's the person getting around, how they getting through the day, eating, and so forth.
Right.
And that's where agencies like us come into play. Home health, government funds about 73% of that. Home care, our world, they only fund about 13% of that.
Really?
So you can see there's a big stretch there, and that's where I think a lot of the policies down the road with doing this 3-year study will show the value of what a home care company brings into the home. So a lot of that's got to do with it.
An important distinction there between home health and home care.
There very much is, and we work very closely with home health. They're actually our partners in the homes. They really are.
Gotcha.
Now, Greg, if someone wanted to just find a little bit about more, they weren't ready to come in yet, where can they go to get some research, get some information about your branch here?
Sure, they would definitely need to go to the website. There's all kinds of data, information, newsletters that they can download at that point. We always do free consultations, so if they really want to sit down or by phone, speak with a social worker or a nurse from our staff or a manager, we'll do that, and we'll walk them through the process. And it's a great question because a lot of times families are just doing research.
Right.
Right.
And we love it when they do that, because it's very difficult when they call when it's critical in the 11th hour and mom needs
Right.
this, and then we all get together and we can do it, but we like to go through that learning process up front and really take the time to educate, be it sit down with them or whatever. We have folks that reach out to us that don't really start services maybe till a year later.
Right.
Yeah.
This is a very important subject, something that we all at some point may very well deal with as our parents are
Sure.
aging.
Oh, yes.
And so thank you for sharing, and stay right here. We'll be back for more 843 TV.